Yo, Headliner Nation, welcome in to the film room, our first video breakdown, game film-wise, that we are going to be doing in quite some time. Last year, we played around with it a little bit. This year, we've done some different things with our videos to make them look way better, so we can bring you an enhanced view of what we see when we are watching film here at the Fantasy Headliners. And I asked the team, what player do we think that the public is going to want to know the most about? And overwhelmingly, we said Marvin Harrison Jr. So let's take a look at some game film from 2024, some things that we liked about Marvin Harrison Jr., some things that we didn't like about Marvin Harrison Jr., and what do we think that he needs to get better moving forward. Now, the two games that we're going to take a look at today, and obviously, sometimes when you watch film, you've got to watch a wide variety of film, but for us to do a video that isn't hours long here on the channel, we're going to take a look at two games. And for two games last season, very similar in catches and targets. Week 2 against the LA Rams, and then week 16 against the Carolina Panthers. In those two games, for each of them, Marvin Harrison Jr. had 8 targets and 4 receptions. But he did a whole lot more in week 2, because in week 2, he had 130 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. In week 16, didn't look nearly as good. In week 16, 39 receiving yards and no touchdowns. And again, both of those games, 8 targets and 4 receptions. So what was the biggest difference? What was it that unfortunately just caused Marvin Harrison Jr. not to finish the season strong? And there's a couple of things that we will take a look at. All right, let's take a look at the first play from week 2. And this play right here is going to be one that is going to come up pretty consistently a few different times in this video. And one thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. that we're going to see right here is he's really good with his feet when he runs his routes and things like that. Like creating separation right here in this route is not all that bad. But the one issue that we have with Marvin Harrison Jr. is fighting through the ball or coming back to the catch or his strength that he shows going up against other defensive backs. Because you're going to see something right here real quick that we're going to show you. Let's go ahead and get this. So Kyler Murray, ball is out of his hands. When you take a look at where that ball is right now, that ball is, I didn't mean to make a line, that ball is right there. And we see where Marvin Harrison Jr. is right here, okay? This is a little bit of a concern because what we want Marvin Harrison Jr. to do is to come back and attack that ball. Okay, we want him to come back and attack that ball. So we realistically want him to come back this way on the field a little bit more. So right now, where is he? He's at like the in between the 42 and the 43. Now coming back to this ball, he's lunging for it here at the 45. So he doesn't really come back and attack that ball. And you're going to see that, and it's going to be a lot more prevalent in some targets that we see in week 16 against Carolina. So even if you look at this right now and you're like, well, Kyle, it wasn't that good of a throw. If he attacks a little bit better, it absolutely is. Because once again, he was like, where? Here. Like we talked about 42, 43, that area. He's got to, if he comes back and he attacks this way up to what, like the 47? He's definitely in a position where he can catch the ball a little bit better. But he gets that turn and he separates a little bit and then he kind of just takes a few steps and he's done. He's got to come back and he's got to attack that ball. We're going to see that a little bit more. The rest of this film from this game is going to look pretty fantastic. Like I said, he goes for 130 yards here, and we'll see it from a little bit of a different angle too here for just a second. Can't really see him off screen, but we'll see him. Again, yes, it is a low throw, but if he attacks to that ball where we talked about and he attacks a few yards closer, that ball doesn't end up being all the way down here. Excuse me, down here. That ball, if he attacks it, he catches it up here a little bit better, and that's really what we need to see from Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's move on to the next play here. Marvin Harrison Jr., he is at the top here. So he is at the top of the formation. This is going to be a touchdown. I can already tell you that right now. Not really giving anything away, but this is going to be a touchdown. Literally just down the seam, and he finds himself open. Now, this type of a catch, he doesn't have to really fight. Now, does he have the defensive back hanging over him? Yeah, he does. But one thing with this play here that's just a whole lot different than the play that we just saw a few minutes ago is he didn't need to attack back through the ball. He needed to basically keep going. This play here, he's got to attack back for the ball. On this play here, you're going to see it. We already know where he's going with the ball, okay? We know where he's going. There is a lot of open room, a lot of it, up at the very top, okay? So when you take a look at that open space, Kyler Murray, you see him here, he's already in this throwing motion. We know Kyler Murray, and we know where he's attacking, right? He is attacking this area in here. He's trying to find this area. He is trying to find Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open in the end zone. So Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't really attacking through anybody, because if you watch here for a second, he just runs right through this area here. He doesn't have to fight to gain this leverage. He just uses his speed to get through here. And then Kyler Murray, perfect throw. Perfect throw. You can't place this ball any better, because if you go a little bit too deep with it, you're going to go out of the back of the end zone. Catch right there. That's a beautiful play. Great catch and run. But again, Marvin Harrison Jr. is not really fighting for position. And that's, again, the area where he is going to need to get better. These open field assignments, and you'll see it on some other plays too, or a lot of his big plays, they're like busted assignments. So this one here, Marvin Harrison Jr. is up at the top of the screen. Now, the one thing I will say about Marvin Harrison Jr. is that he didn't play in one wide receiver set all that often. And we're going to see that kind of change. In this one here, he is in a one wide receiver set, which is great. He's in a one wide receiver set, okay? Up here at the top of your screen. His snap count as the season went on got a little bit lower and a little bit lower. From weeks 1 through 8, he had 4 weeks where he played 85% of the snaps or more. However, from weeks 9 through 18, he only had 2 weeks where he played 85% of the snaps or more. So as the season went on, we kind of saw his snap count get a little bit lower and a little bit lower. And you'll see some film that we watch, and it was even just on the normal film that I don't have recorded for this video. He unfortunately just was not being utilized as much down the stretch. Now, this is another case of just Marvin Harrison Jr. open, okay? Now, here's the thing about Marvin Harrison that is good. He can find that open field, right? And there's some wide receivers that don't really have that same type of ability. So, we're right here, okay? This is where we're at right now. So he's literally running at this defensive back. And I'm not sure if the assignment was just to cut across here, but what you end up seeing him do is he'll get his eyes downfield, and he's going to see all of this open space right here. Kyler Murray leads him in that direction, and we end up finding a huge bomb down the field. But once again, he finds himself in a position where it's kind of blown coverage. Finds himself here. Kyler Murray is rolling out. And that's one thing, too, if you watch the Arizona Cardinals from last year, Kyler Murray obviously moves a whole lot. If there's a play where Kyler Murray is scrambling away from Marvin Harrison Jr., we typically can call that play dead for Marvin Harrison Jr. because Kyler Murray is not looking for him anymore. And even if he does scramble towards Marvin Harrison Jr., there's going to be a 50-50 chance that the dude just takes off running. And that's also going to kill Marvin Harrison Jr. So this might be the type of offense where Marvin Harrison Jr., his skills and his ability are just not maximized to the fullest percent because it just may not be needed, especially if he's not fighting back through the ball like we need him to on some of the plays that we're going to see and that first play that we saw as well. But Kyler Murray, I think he's got his eyes kind of out this way. He's looking up here to begin with. Then we see him kind of get his eyes turned. Now he sees Marvin Harrison Jr. And again, he gets himself in a solid position where he sees all of this open field right here, and this is where he wants to go to. And Kyler Murray does a very good job of leading him once again. I think this is also good tape to see. Kyler Murray is a solid quarterback. For a lot of people who don't feel like he is, he absolutely is a solid quarterback. So let's, it's a busted play. He's found. That's great. That's what we want to see from this type of film anyway, is him taking advantage of those. The biggest thing that we're going to be breaking down here in just a second is some of those struggles that we already talked about at the beginning of the video and why they are prevalent in other plays later on in the season as well. This play here, we got a little open. Now, I will give Marvin Harrison Jr. credit here, okay? I will give him a little bit of credit here because he does do an excellent job. Marvin Harrison Jr., if you don't see him, he's up here at the top of the screen, and he's going to end up fighting a little bit further up in this area for the ball. And that's what we want to see. We want to see him fight for that ball. See, he's already got his eyes around, and that's super important for him to do too, is to already have his eyes around, especially on those plays where he's going to be fighting. So his eyes are already around. Kyler Murray has let go of the ball at this point. So if you can't see it, let me mark it here for you. The ball is right here. The defensive back, his body is still turned around, right? So the defensive back needs to be turned around right now. He's not. This is a great play. He takes advantage. He fights for the ball a little bit here. Marvin Harrison Jr. gets a little separation. Ball comes in. Nice one-handed catch. Now, see, that is the type of job that he needs to do. Battling right there. Let's take a look at it from this angle. Murray gets rid of the ball quick, and we find ourselves up here fighting for the ball. He comes down with it with one arm. Good. That's what we want. He's got to be able to do that. Is the alpha wide receiver in any offense, you got to have a number one that can go down the field and battle with those stronger defensive backs. Now let's let this play develop here for a second. A little bit of fighting there at the very beginning. So this is what he's going to have to do too. If we're talking about being more aggressive, he's up here again. We don't know where he's at. Top of the screen, right there. Fights a little bit, but the cornerback comes off of his coverage. And he all of a sudden steps up. One mistake that I think that cornerback does, I think he steps up here to take this guy, but then they see Kyler Murray running, and they kind of just crash on him. So let's watch this real quick and break down defensively what we see here. So this cornerback right here is going to be in charge of this guy. So he's in charge of that guy. The safety up here knows that this cornerback is now moving up. And now he knows, I'm going to go the other way. Now he knows he's got to go that way. Okay? So the cornerback has to step up and get him here. And then the safety has to come over the top to help with Marvin Harrison Jr. They do that to begin with just fine. But now let's watch what happens. Okay? Kyler Murray getting outside the pocket. We see him right here outside the pocket. This cornerback, he stepped up. He took him here. Safety over the top. He comes here to help. And you see all the other parts here. Like right here, we've got a defender. Right here, we've got a defender. Right here, we've got a defender. This defender right here, he's over the top of this guy as well. So everybody's covered. Okay, everybody is at their assignment. So this is good by the LA Rams. But once again, another broken play here by Marvin Harrison Jr. But why? So Kyler Murray gets out of the pocket. He starts to move. So Kyler Murray, he gets right here. This defender is on top of him. But what do we see from this safety that's supposed to be on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Well, he sees that Kyler Murray is moving. So now he runs forward, okay? This guy right here, he starts to step up as well. These guys right here, they're all stepping up. They all see Kyler Murray get stuck in this area here. And I don't know if they just automatically assume that Kyler Murray was going to go down or what was going to happen, because they all step up. And then what you're going to see from Marvin Harrison Jr. here right here, he's going to all of a sudden be like, oh, no, skirt. I'm going to move out this way because he's going to jump this guy right here. See, this guy crashes. He over pursues because of where Kyler Murray is. Marvin Harrison Jr. just gets behind him. Kyler Murray just lets it rip. Leaves Marvin Harrison Jr. completely open. Unfortunately, the defense kind of just crashed there. They saw Kyler Murray getting himself into a heap of trouble. They thought he was going to go down. That safety broke his assignment. He stepped up at that point. He steps up because he thinks Kyler Murray. I mean, you can kind of see it right there. Let me try to go back just far enough. Watch up here at the top right-hand corner of the screen. So, like in this area up here after I hit play, okay? We're going to see that safety crashing. Okay, he's right here. Okay, you see the safety? Watch him crash. He is crashing. Oh, no, my bad. Blown coverage by the safety there. Marvin Harrison Jr. down at the bottom of your screen, at the bottom of your formation there. Michael Wilson moving. Nice little blown coverage here. So what does the Michael Wilson, what happens when we see Michael Wilson come down, okay? What is it that causes this movement across the backside of the line that allows Marvin Harrison Jr. to now take his route and take it all the way over on the other side? Okay, what is it? Because we see Marvin Harrison Jr. come up this way and across. We see the motion. Now we see the motion and we see everybody shift, right? We see this group of players shift, okay? Let's look at it one more time. The motion starts. Those four players shift. Okay? So those four shift. What we see here is more than likely we have man coverage here. We have man coverage here. These linebackers are staying put for over the middle of the field. And that is what is going to allow Marvin Harrison Jr. to get behind them and go up this way. This is kind of the key guy right here. What does he do? Okay. So he steps up because he's trying to take care of the guy out of the backfield. So let's play that one more time. Okay. So he's playing his part right here. But now you see this guy escape out of the backfield. He steps up. So now what do we have once again? We have man here. Man here. His back's turned because he's just running with him. This guy is the lone guy that's charged with picking up Marvin Harrison Jr. But knowing that this space out here is going to be completely empty because this guy has stepped up. This guy's in man. This guy is in coverage right here over the middle, but he's not going to go this far. It's going to leave Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open. And Kyler Murray is already throwing the ball, and he's going to put that ball way out there for Marv. And it's too high. And it's too high. Good play design. Way to read the defense. But that's what that motion across the backside does there, right? Because now you're moving that man coverage on the outside corner from here. Okay, because that man coverage on the outside corner, let me go back a little bit. Okay, so before Michael Wilson moves, man coverage is this guy. Okay, so man coverage is this guy here, this guy here. That's what man cover. That's where the man coverage is. We see the motion behind the line. Okay. This guy now has man coverage here. And that's why Marvin Harrison Jr. If he leaves him over there and he's in man coverage with Michael Wilson, then he's guarding Michael Wilson in this area. Or you've got to send him out here and then you potentially have this guy free. But moving him along the line there in motion switches it so this guy now comes in, and this guy moves there. So take that coverage away. Here in the end zone, this is one of these plays that we'll see a couple of times as well. These like back shoulder fades that we throw. And it feels like to me that Marvin Harrison Jr. is just giving up on them a little bit before he should be. Because you're going to see a couple of times too. So like he gets like right here, and it's not like he's fighting through the defensive back. It's almost like he's just fighting with the defensive back. And instead of fighting through him to be able to sell coming back, he's just not nearly as aggressive with it, which he really needs to be. He needs to be more aggressive right there. I mean, that's not a bad ball by Kyler Murray at all. We see another one here. He does a little bit better. I mean, he does a little bit better of a job fighting right there. I mean, these are going to be those routes where, like, he's got to have that. Like, the play before that, I felt like Marvin Harrison Jr. should have had that, but he didn't fight through the defensive back well enough. And then when he kind of got his back turned, he did it a little bit too late. He's got to fight through that defensive back hard, get him pushed off of him so he can get turned around again. Kind of the same thing here. Like, he's got to catch that. Like, that's perfectly executed, well-thrown ball. He just misses it. So that's 100% on Marvin Harrison Jr. there. He's got to catch that ball. Okay, now we're moving into week 16. And this is where we're going to take a look at some of those things that I had some concerns about a little bit ago. So we'll go ahead and take a look at those plays right here. All right, Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top of your screen, at the top of the formation here. Okay, so remember the play at the very beginning that we talked about, where we discussed Marvin Harrison Jr. on those curl routes and needing to come back to the ball more, okay? So here's that curl route. So where does he stop? Okay, so he starts to like really stop his route, what, here at the 48, 49 yard line, somewhere in there. And like we've talked about, he's got to work his way this way, right? Like he's got to work his way back. So let's see where he ends up at. So he stops, turns. Look how far he makes his way back to the ball. Okay, so he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 yards. On that play that we looked at earlier, he was really kind of at like 3, 4, 5 yards. That is the biggest difference right there on fighting through the ball. And you're going to see here in a few minutes why he's got to do a better job of that. But there, at the beginning of the video when we started talking, he did not fight back towards the ball. Here, he does, and he leaves himself wide open for an easy catch. On those curl routes, when you come back to the ball, the harder you fight back to the ball, you're not going to have a defensive back draped all over you trying to knock that ball away as you're catching it. And that's what Marvin Harrison Jr. does there. Absolutely love to see some progression. But while he did that there, he's not going to do it in some plays here in a couple of minutes that we'll take a look at as well. So Marvin Harrison Jr. So Marvin Harrison is in the slot here. Little motion there to try and figure out what do we have. We've got man coverage for the most part. This is a target that obviously he's just kind of, him and Kyler Murray are not on the same page, obviously. We'll look here real quick. He just kind of bumps into this guy, though. Remember when I said we got to fight through it? So watch, he kind of just, boom, like runs into this guy. And the ball's already in the air. So if this is a play where the ball does end up getting thrown out this way, which is where Marvin Harrison Jr. does go to, he's got, I mean, look at where the defensive back is. Look how close he is, because he gets to the defensive back. He basically runs into him and then tries to keep his route going. He doesn't really try to sell him one way or another. He doesn't fight through him to get him off. And now, obviously, you don't want to be too handsy and offensive pass interference there. But you need to get out of your break there super quick. And you really need to get rid of this guy. If that ball's going out this way, he is shed all over the top of him. And Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't going to have any room whatsoever to make that catch. So it doesn't matter. Skipped a little too far ahead there. Marvin Harrison Jr. at the very bottom of the screen. Nice little quick curl route. I mean, and that one there too, like you don't have to fight back through the ball too much there because, I mean, look at your cushion. You've got almost 10 yards basically of cushion there. So when you run that play, you essentially know that you're going to have that quick. So you're not going to fight that. You're not going to fight back through the ball there anyway. You're going to let that ball come to you right there, and then you're going to turn and get upfield. So that one's a little bit different because of the type of cushion you have there. You're not closing in on the defensive back, or you don't have press coverage up on the line. And for those of you watching, maybe, I don't know, maybe you do know what press coverage means. Maybe you don't know what press coverage means, and maybe that terminology is a little bit different for you. So right now we're playing back. We're not playing press coverage. If we were playing press coverage, you would see these defensive backs be right up on the line of scrimmage on these guys right here. You would be seeing that. You don't have that at this point. So they are playing off their receivers. They are playing back. If they were playing press, they would be right on top of their wide receivers. So if you're wondering what press is, that is what it would be. You'd be up on your wide receiver, basically pressing them at the line of scrimmage. Let's go ahead and get to our next play here. We've seen that one. The last kind of two plays that we see here are going to be the ones that I want to talk about a little bit more. No, this video is a little bit on the longer side, but that's how these videos are going to be. So if you're still watching right now, I appreciate that. Marvin Harrison Jr. right down here in the slot, as you can see. One guy goes in motion, then he comes back across. Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open over the middle of the field. But this play here, let me keep playing it because this play here is really kind of what frustrates me a little bit about Marvin Harrison Jr. too, is he's just not super aggressive. Because watch at the point of the catch here, and I think this is a better angle to look at anyway. So at the point of the catch, obviously you have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys right around Marvin Harrison Jr. Now he catches it, and he does try to pick up yards right away, which is great. But then he just kind of runs into this guy, and then he goes down. He's not very physical. He doesn't try to make another move there. He doesn't try to do something to, like, he hits him and he just goes down. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to be more physical, and maybe as a rookie, he's just trying to get to that. And I talked about this too. Like, when I did film stuff on Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, and when I talked about him as a rookie, a lot of the things with Marvin Harrison Jr., I talked about things were so easy for him in college that he didn't need to be that aggressive because he was just naturally 10 times better than anybody he was going up against that was not named Will Johnson. And I might be wearing Michigan gear, but it's absolutely true. Will Johnson, the number 2 cornerback in this class, number 1 if you don't count Travis Hunter. So when you take a look at what Marvin Harrison Jr. did in college, he needed to know coming to the next level that he was going to have to be more aggressive. He was going to have to play harder against these defensive backs. Everything came so easy to him that part of my question in his evaluation process would he just not really be prepared for how much tougher the game would be at the NFL level? And I think when you see plays like that, that absolutely feels like it. Now, this is a part of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s game is very, very good. Watch Marvin Harrison Jr. here. When he gets to the top of the route. Okay, so right there, he gives him the little stutter step. Looks like he's going out this way. Then he hits him again with another one. Then he stops, and then he comes back to the ball. And this is one, too, where he fights back pretty well. But he used his feet to cause so much separation that guy was kind of all over the place because he was like, is he going out? Is he going deep? Is he going to go in? Nope, he's turning back. He does a good job of creating separation with his feet and his routes. He's just got to be more physical. And on those routes where he's just curling back in, he's got to sell it harder than just being like, oh, curl, stop. Use your feet. Use your ability as a gifted route runner to sell those defensive backs that you're just not running the right route, that you're running a different route, and you're throwing them completely off the game. So he does a pretty good job there. But it's not here yet. It's going to be the next two plays after this is where things get. And here's, again, the same thing. Like, we saw this a couple seconds ago, right? Like, in one of the other plays, these little kind of lobs to the end zone. Like, he does a good job of kind of selling it that way, but the defensive back does a good job of kind of biting on it. This might be a thing where we just get our head. Maybe he gets it turned around a little bit too much. But when he gets his head turned around, he's just got to fight for the catch just a little bit more, okay? He's got to just get there. Sometimes it really feels like when he gets into these kind of fade passes in the end zone that Kyler Murray throws it up, but he doesn't really, like, at this point right here, he should be accelerating. And it just doesn't feel like he's really trying to get to the ball. He's trying to let the ball come to him. And we don't need that. We need to go get the ball. And really that kind of comes back to the other things that we were talking about too. On those curl routes, you need to come get the ball, right? Come get the ball. Don't let it come to you. And again, that's one area with Marvin Harrison Jr. The ball just naturally came to him in college. It's not going to at the NFL level. You have to go get it. And I think he will learn that. He's a smart enough player. Obviously, his dad is Hall of Fame wide receiver. So he's got people around him that are going to help him with that. Okay. So this is one of these things. So this is just one of those routes, okay, where he just acts like he's running the curl, okay? And we see it right here. And two plays before this where he did kind of run that comeback, remember he sold it. Like he sold in, he sold out, and then he comes back. Here, especially when you don't have press coverage, okay? Look at how much distance, how much cushion the cornerback is giving him. When you have this much cushion, you have to sell it even more because this guy right here isn't scared about Marvin Harrison Jr. just running past him. Why? Because look how much room he has. Look how much time he has to adjust, okay? So Marvin Harrison Jr. here needs to do something else to throw this guy off. Just running a straight go route and then stopping isn't enough. You've got too much cushion. That defensive back is not scared that you're running by him when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 yards of cushion. He's not worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. running past him because he's got 8 yards before he even gets to him. So Marvin Harrison Jr. has to do something else here because he comes to a stop, and now all this dude needs to do is just jump the route, and that's what he does. But remember what I talked about, the difference in the plays that we saw with some of those comeback, those curl routes. Very first play we saw, Marvin Harrison Jr. only comes back to the ball 3 or 4 yards, maybe 5. The play that was very successful at the beginning of this game against Carolina, the first one we watched with this part of the film, he attacked the ball 8 yards, okay? Let's see where he is at the 20, he's at the 24 right now. He tries to catch the ball at like the 23. He only fought back to the ball a couple of yards. And because of that, the cornerback just steps up and gets his hand in there. Number one, you didn't sell the route well enough. Okay? Again, defensive back is not going to be scared about getting blown away when he's got 8 yards of cushion between you. If that guy was playing press and you started sprinting and he goes, oh crap, I got to sprint with you to keep up with you, that's when you jam the curl and you come straight back. That is a different route. He needs to sell a slant there. Because if you sell the slant, the cornerback is going to work that way. Then you work back to the ball, and now the cornerback is on his heels. The cornerback wasn't on his heels. And then again, you don't fight back towards the ball. You don't fight to the ball. And because of that, it ends up being an easy pass breakup. Again, right here, ball is out. We need to be So he tries to catch the ball like right here. So again, he works back 2 or 3 yards. He needs to be working back this way. He needs to give himself 2, 3, maybe even 4 more yards than what he does. And he doesn't. Again, he tries to catch the ball right there. He stopped his route just before the 25. He is trying to catch it at the 23. But look at how dead he is right now. Look at his feet. He's not moving. The ball is right here. He needs to be attacking the ball. Why are we not attacking that ball? The arrow is pointing the wrong way. Why are we standing here with the defensive back a couple of yards away from you when we can be attacking forward to catch that ball? And it's not like the ball was way over his head either. Attack it. Go get it. Go get the ball. Be more aggressive. That's Marvin Harrison Jr.'s biggest issue right now is he's not aggressive enough. The game was so easy for Marvin Harrison Jr. in college that he didn't need to be aggressive because he was naturally just beating everybody. At the NFL level, it's not happening. You're going to see the same exact thing here. A little bit of an out route. Ball's kind of thrown back behind him. But he's just not aggressive enough. He's got to be more aggressive. And that's my biggest thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. and probably why we saw some up and downs with him last year is because he just waits for the ball to come to him. Again, he's a smart kid, very good player. He's got a Hall of Fame dad. He's going to learn over the offseason here what he needed to do to get better. Being more aggressive at the point of the catch and being more aggressive just overall with the defensive backs. How often do we see pass interference called on wide receivers? Very little. Very little. Use that to your advantage. Fight with those defensive backs. Fight back to the ball. Sell those routes a little bit better. You've got great feet. You're a great route runner. Okay? If you're running a curl and you've got 8 yards of cushion between you and the defensive back, don't just sell the curl. Sell something else and then come into the curl. So hopefully this type of video kind of helps you just understand the game of football a little bit better. And that's really what we're looking to do with these game film videos. I like watching a ton of film, especially this time of the year when I'm watching college prospects. I absolutely love it. So because of that, it's always fun to sit down and look at just the normal NFL video as well, because then when I do that, I get to see where are some things that we need to see players do a little bit better at. And are they major things or minor things? And to me personally, this is a minor thing for Marvin Harrison Jr. So if you're sitting at home worried about him and you're like, he's not going to get any better, what we see here on tape is not something that's overly concerning for me. Now, if he was very poor in his route running and he wasn't doing a good enough job on finding open space and things of that nature and breaking those big plays, then we would have some questions and concerns. But in this format here, there's some things that he just needs to do to be a little bit more physical. And he's probably bulking up a little bit this offseason, even though it's not a ton, to hurt his agility. And he's going to fight with those defensive backs a little bit more. Those balls to the end zone where we just throw them up, we're going to fight for those a little bit more. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a fine sophomore campaign. So looking at the video, there's nothing that overly concerns me or is telling me to stay away from Marvin Harrison Jr. in 2025. And hopefully seeing the video and hearing kind of my breakdown helps you with that as well. But Headliner Nation, make sure you hit the like button and let me know down in the comments below what you think about these type of videos. We're going to be doing some more standalone film room videos where I bring you in and I show you the action that's happening on the screen, walk you through what I'm seeing and kind of my thought process when I'm just sitting back and watching football. So let me know down in the comments what you think about these videos, if you want more of them, and we will keep them running. Also, let me know if there's a player that you really want to talk about next, because I think that we might do Bryce Young, and then after that, we'll see what happens. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, Turn on the bell notifications. Anytime we drop new content, you'll know about it right away. But for now, Headliner Nation, peace out, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.